Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar today about the different options that Autodesk has to offer in terms of PLM softwares. My name is Scott Stortz. I am the PLM application consultant at Synergis. I've been in this role for about 5 years now. Prior to joining Synergis, I was a mechanical engineer at a few different manufacturing organizations for a total of approximately 20 years. And I use both PDM and PLM softwares to a great extent, and it really saw the advantages of how this software can help your business. The first thing I want to talk about, and what I had indicated in some of my opening comments there, is PDM versus PLM. I think there's still some minor confusion about what these two different terms are in terms of how do they function as software and what's the difference between PDM and PLM. Let's first start with the definition of each. PDM is product data management. What does that mean? Really what that boils down to is when talking to manufacturing organizations and people that work within engineering, primarily in manufacturing organizations, the bulk of the data that's being managed is CAD software, design software. And since we are an Autodesk reseller, we're first going to list all of the different types of software data that could be managed from the Autodesk product portfolio, things like Inventor, obviously AutoCAD, Revit, that type of data. But other components of your data that gets managed in PDM systems is Office files, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, things like that. PDF files, image files, other just generic file types, and also some additional CAD software, things like SolidWorks, Creo, additional CAD design software products. So that's PDM. Again, the key there is the D, which stands for data management. So then what's PLM? PLM is product lifecycle management. What does that really mean? Product lifecycle management is there to facilitate the management of all the processes that go into the full lifecycle of your product. PDM, things like Vault, manage the design data. But what about things like when you're doing a new product introduction process? What precedes the creation of the CAD data, and what happens at the end of life of a product? And how about all the additional processes like quality and things that surround your product, but aren't directly dedicated to the data itself? So what are the business processes that go into the entire life cycle of your product? That's where PLM comes into play. And another key distinction with PLM versus PDM is largely an engineering-based application, things like Vault. Not that other users don't get into PDM, but it is certainly an engineering-based application, where PLM is an enterprise-wide application that, because you are talking about the entire lifecycle of your product, all the departments and personnel, and from the very inception of a product to its end of life, so that ultimately involves your entire organization. And then a system of truth. Some companies rely on ERP for a system of truth, some companies PDM, but once you implement a PLM system, that for most organizations becomes the system of truth for that company. So why PLM? Why are companies looking to add PLM to their portfolio of softwares that they're using? Big thing is to help solve some challenges. The challenges shown here are common challenges with manufacturing organizations, certainly things like globalization and lack of collaboration. We're going to go into some detail about some lack of collaboration type issues. Supply chain. I think every company is having supply chain issues right now with the global economy as it stands today. Data sharing, making sure you're sharing the right data at the right time, process bottlenecks, things like that. So PLM is there to help solve and improve on some of these challenges. Team collaboration. I highlighted that in the previous slide. The collaboration is a very common one. You have data in multiple places of multiple types, and with everything being stored electronically now, for the most part, you can have data or information overload. There's data and information everywhere. How do you get a handle on all that information? Distributed workforce, most organizations certainly have maybe multiple sites, or people working from home, or extended organizations that they're partner with. And that all comes into play certainly when it comes to collaboration. How do you work with that extended and distributed workforce. And then speed of change. Of course, you want to get things done as quickly as possible to get your design improvements implemented as quickly as possible, get new products to the market as fast as possible. So what's the impact of all that? When your data and process management challenges, they can have a negative impact on your performance if they're not working well. Cost time and money. And limit time availability, in the bottom left there, limit time available for innovation. When I implemented PLM at my last company, I tried to summarize it after the successful implementation that, before PLM, we were doing just what was absolutely required from an engineering and product standpoint. Once we had PLM up and running, we were able to go move on to and get work done that was nice to do work. Things like cost improvement and design improvement projects we had in the queue, but just didn't have enough priority to them because we were busy doing just the absolute necessary work. So when you get a better handle on some of these business processes, it can improve some of your quality targets, your time to market goals, those types of things, the due dates. When you can get an improvement on that using a tool like PLM, it does give you time to move on to projects that maybe you didn't have the time for before. Data, we talked about this already. Where is your data? What is your data? Where is it all stored, and how are you managing all of that information? You can see on the left side of the slide here, we're saying companies based in research, companies are struggling with the basics of PDM, controlling, accessing, and sharing your product data. On the right side, you can see some stats more specific to that. Finding the right information is clearly a challenge. Searching for data is a challenge. Reusing data, and then the bottom one there, which is really problematic, is working with wrong or outdated data. Now, PLM can really help with that. If you have better handle on your processes and better definition around the status of the projects and the data in those projects, you can improve some of these challenges related to your information. So people, we talked about collaboration with internal and external resources. Again, I think most companies at this point in time have some external stakeholders, if you will, personnel, whether they're direct employees or external partners, suppliers, that type of thing. So collaborating with those third parties, and also within the departments within the company itself. Again, PDM systems, things like Vault, for an engineering-based application. It's great for engineering to share information, but what about the rest of the organization? And that's where PLM can help extend that information out to the entire organization. Processes. So what type of business processes are having challenges? And then you can see on the right side there's quite a few processes that companies are reporting challenges with. The first one is managing change. So your engineering change order, change request process. We work with a lot of customers that have challenges. Or how are you checking the request? How are you executing the change order, change notice from that point? Things like your bill of material, and the last one, project and task execution. PLM can really help with these things. A lot of the tools we're going to mention today are flexible and can be tailored to your specific business workflow to help you better meet and improve on these challenges. So that all both comes down to then, the Autodesk PDM PLM platform. On the left side here, we see the CAD data and document management. That's the PDM piece. And all these other things are the PLM components that work with that. New product introduction, bills of material management, change management, supplier management, program project management, quality management, and then just a general workflow and business process management. So connecting all of this information together brings you to the PDM PLM platform to help improve in these different areas of your business. And then what that hopefully can lead to is some disconnected teams that are kind of acting somewhat independently, not intentionally, but it's the reality of not having good processes and systems like PLM in place, and can bring that together to a much more collaborative, organized process that can improve your product deliverables. Okay. So the title of this webinar was PLM Option Overload. So why did we call it that? Well, the reason we did is because there's essentially 4 different options for PLM tools at this point within the Autodesk product portfolio. So let's go through what those 4 different options are. First one I want to talk about is Fusion 360 Manage Extension. And what this is for customers that are using the Fusion 360 CAD tool, the cloud-based 3D CAD tool, there is a Fusion 360 Manage Extension software available for that. And what that brings is it brings an out-of-the-box change management process into the fold for your data. It has a release process. Right now, your Fusion 360 Managed data is, it has versioning, but it doesn't necessarily have a release type process associated with that data. This adds that functionality. And then item identification or part numbering type functionality for your Fusion 360 Managed data. Some of the key features for this particular offering of PLM is it is limited to Fusion 360. Now the naming convention here is a little bit confusing. You'll see in the next couple of slides why that is, but Fusion 360 CAD software that's limited to those users. It's fully cloud-based. And the other thing is, it comes with a change process, but that change process can be modified and extended. You can add tasks, you can add sub-processes to that. With that, what does that look like? So right now I'm in a Fusion 360 environment. And I'm going to go through, we have 4 different options to go through, so I'm just going to give everybody a quick taste of what these different PLM offerings are. There's not enough time to go through into full detail here with, exactly how everything functions. But I just want to at least show what they look like and get you a feel for what this is. So, again, I'm in Fusion 360. You have the Manage extension, you have this Manage tab available, so you can do some of these features directly within Fusion 360. You can assign it an item number. You can put it onto a quick change or a change order directly from within here. And what that does is, I have my process information. You can see now when I click on that within Fusion 360, I go into this interface, which is really what this boils down to. This is a scaled down version of Fusion 360 Manage. I have some workspaces in here where I have, my part numbers, my item numbers, and those item numbers are related to those Fusion 360 CAD models. That's one aspect of what's provided here. The other aspect of this that I mentioned before was the change process. So, I have my change orders in here and I can release this information onto a change order. There is workflow in this change process here. Again, this workflow can be modified. This is what comes pre-configured for you. You can use it as is, or you can modify that. You can add your CAD models and item numbers onto this change process. That's really the Fusion 360 Manage extension. Again, I'm just giving you a very brief overview of what that looks like. The next offering I want to talk about is Fusion 360 Manage. And what this is an enterprise-wide PLM application. One of the core capabilities of the software, it has the ability to manage new project introduction type processes, stage gate processes, bill of material management, supplier collaboration, change management, and quality management. And all of these processes are available to be used and connected together. So a lot of these processes are dependent on each other and spawn other processes as a result of their outcome. Things like change management and bill of material management, new product introduction, obviously all are closely tied together. Quality management has bill of material components in it. So all of these processes are core capabilities of Fusion 360 Manage, and they all can be connected together and communicate and work together depending on the criteria of each of your processes. Some of the key features. Fusion 360 Manage is a CAD agnostic program. There really isn't a PDM component within the software. There is a very lightweight PDM component. You can manage individual files, things like office files and image files and stuff like that. But it's not a full-blown PDM application. And as a result, the benefit of that is it's completely CAD agnostic. So whatever CAD applications you have in-house, you can add Fusion 360 Manage to manage the business processes around your product line. It's fully cloud-based. It does have the ability to manage almost any business process. So most of our customers that have Fusion 360 Manage build out additional processes above and beyond some of those core processes that we talked about, things like supplier management, bill of material management. most customers add things like a request process that they build out and put into the software. You can pretty much build out and manage, just about any business process your organization has, and it's highly configurable. Fusion 360 Manage is very, very configurable in terms of the workflow steps, the approval process, the attributes and fields that apply to the process. You can modify it very easily to meet your specific business needs. What does that look like? Just very quickly, this is Fusion 360 Manage. Again, it's a cloud-based application, so I am just in Google Chrome. Looking at this, on the dashboard, you have some graphic-based reporting capabilities. One of the key features is a My Outstanding Work list, so anything that's you are participating in a process that's assigned to you will show up in this list. You have some additional information down here. You can bookmark information, things like that. But I go up here to the different, what is referred to as workspaces. You can see the breakdown here, and these are, again, some of the core functional areas of the software: product portfolio management, NPI or stage gate, product development. So that would be things like your items, bills of materials, change management, quality, and supply chain. And within these, you can see there's several different workspaces. So if you're managing your products in here, you can have what that product is, what its status is in the system, what its current state is. That's where PLM comes into place. Comes into play. These are my products. Where do they stand? Which ones are released for production? Which ones are still in the proposal state? That type of information is what you want to utilize and take advantage of PLM for. What all this type of information that goes into this. There's a ton of different information. Again, I don't have time to show you all the variability and all the options within here, but when it comes to tracking your product and where it stands, there's really nice functionality there for that. New product introduction, what projects do you have in the queue? What gates do they have? Where do they stand relative to that? Click in here real quick. Again, see what gate progress I'm at. Where does everything stand? Again, it's a very good interface to quickly go down through and understand where your different projects are in the queue. Product development, this is where your items and bills of materials would be. Documents, if you have documents that go into your product. Change management, things like change request, change order, and then tasks that go into those processes. A very common way, Fusion 360 Manage has the ability to connect these processes together and have them be sub-processes of each other. So very commonly, companies will have a change request that drives a change order, and that change order will drive tasks within that process. And quality management, there's a lot of different quality management processes in play, RMAs, non-conformances, inspections, quality audits, that type of thing. And similar with supply chain management, supplier audits, supplier approval process are common things that we see customers implementing with Fusion 360 Manage. Next PLM offering that we want to talk about is Vault PLM. What Vault PLM is Autodesk Vault, which I think probably most customers on this call are familiar with, and then Fusion 360 Manage, which I just showed you, but connecting those two together. Autodesk utilizes cool orange technology to connect those two applications together. And the core functionality and core capabilities here is, you're bringing the full Fusion 360 Manage functionality in. So all those core functional areas of Fusion 360 Manage come into play: new product introduction, bill of material management, supplier, change, and quality. But now we're bringing Vault in and connecting Vault steps. Now you're bringing your product data, your PDM system, and connecting that in. So we had mentioned before things like new product introduction. Well, new product introduction and key deliverable or key aspect of that is the bill of material, the design data that goes into what that product is. And by connecting these systems together, that allows you to better manage that process. And you're bringing all that data directly into Fusion 360 Manage and letting those two systems work together. Change management, similar to that. Quality management is referencing, obviously, part numbers and design data information. What are some of the key features of Vault PLM? So Vault PDM allows, and the Vault PLM system, but since you're using Vault as your PDM tool in this configuration, it allows your intellectual property to be stored on-premise. What we've shown before with the previous two applications and the next one coming up is they're all cloud-based. So this is of the 4 product offerings that we're talking about today, this is the one that allows your data to be stored on-premise on your own service, if that's a key requirement for your business. And I know it is for several businesses, depending on the products and the type of business that you are running. But it does have a cloud-based component, which is the Fusion 360 Manage piece, and that manages the process. So the process that goes around your data is a cloud-based. So that takes advantage of a cloud-based system. It's easy interface to use. It can be utilized by anybody in any location at any time. The updates are automatic. All the advantages of having cloud-based information is out there, but your intellectual property remains on site. Since this is the full Fusion 360 Managed software, you can, similar to having standalone Fusion 360 Managed, you can manage just about any business process, and those business processes, are highly configurable to meet your needs. I'm just going to show you a brief video of what this can look like. And what I'm going to do here is, what we're doing is we're taking new data in Vault. So we're in the Vault environment, and we see this as a work in progress state. And what's going to happen is you're going to change the state of this. We're going to call this publish to FLC state. And what this does is now this is going to push this information, all this CAD data information is going to push it into Fusion 360 Manage, because these two systems are now fully connected together. You see that this is in a published state. So now when I go over to Fusion 360 Manage, well, first what happens is it creates this job queue, and the cool orange connectivity pushes that data over here. You can see that is empty for new data. Now refresh this information, all that information got pushed over here. I clicked on that information, now exists here. There are links to the different aspects. I can download it, I can go to the Thin client or the full Vault client. Some of the key information about Vault is in here, the file name, that type of information, the image of what I am talking about here, and some of the key details. Pushes the bill of material into the system. So now I have my bill of material into Fusion 360 Manage to, again, the advantage here is I can reference now this bill of material and all of this information in any business process I want that Fusion 360 Manage offers. In this case, I pushed it onto an engineering change order. What this change order looks like, this can be customized and tailored to whatever your particular company's business process would want to be. But I'm able to manage the business process in Fusion 360 Manage and have the data still reside in Vault. You can see as I go through this process now, the data is changing in Vault. I went to the check state, and now the data in Vault is in review state. So as I would complete that process in Fusion 360 Manage, the data in Vault would ultimately get to a release state. And then the fourth and last PLM option I want to talk about is the newest option from Autodesk, and this is called Upchain. And what Upchain is it's a cloud-based PDM and PLM solution. It is a single solution that has both PDM and PLM built into it, but it is a cloud-based, fully cloud-based solution. So in this case, it has the capabilities to manage your product data, new product introduction process, bill of material management, supplier collaboration, change management, quality management. So similar core functional aspects to the Vault PLM solution. The difference being is the data component is in the data management component is all cloud-based. The whole system is cloud-based. All that information is fully connected together to access and reference and participate within each other's processes as your business requirements are. So the key features here, again, cloud-based PDM and PLM. It is a multi-CAD platform. It has plugins for SolidWorks, Inventor, multiple different CAD systems. It's basically a CAD agnostic type system. It is configurable, similar to Fusion 360 Manage, where the workflow and the process and the attributes of that process are configurable. Upchain is also configurable. And then, to me, one of the real key standout features, the last bullet point there, is Upchain has out of the box the ability to have multiple bill of material management. So What I mean by that is you can have an engineering BOM, a manufacturing BOM, a service BOM, and all different versions of your bill of materials such as those are connected together, and you can manage different bill of material configurations for those different needs, for engineering's needs, for manufacturing's needs, and for service needs. You can have different bills of materials and manage those in the software. Show you a brief overview of what Upchain looks like. Again, fully cloud-based, so once again, I am in Chrome. What I'm looking at here is just a project. Upchain is broken down with the concept that things are managed by projects. So projects, product lines, however you want to term it, but a project is the fundamental breakdown of the system. You can see there's some reporting capabilities similar to what Fusion 360 Manage has, give you an understanding of where does things stand within that project. Here is my bill of materials screen. If I look at some of this information, I have typical bill of material type information. I have the images here, what the status of that data is. I can have visualization. There's visualization built into this software here. Similar to the way Fusion 360 manages. I have the visualization capabilities, the attributes here in the system too. So again, and you can see here's the engineering BOM, I have the service BOM capabilities. I don't have, and this doesn't show the specific differences, but I can have these different types of bill of materials in the system. Next component down is project management. So this does have, project management task type capabilities built in the system with dependencies and due date type information assigned to them. Mentioned the different business processes that you can have in here, requirements, change requests, change notices, quality processes, investigation requests, and you can build this out further than this. This just happens to be what I have in this particular project. Document management, again, this is the full PDM capabilities are in here. So you have the CAD documents, but you can also have just general office type documents in here. Whether image files, you can see this is a Word file down here, an image file. So you can have those different types of documents and things managed in the system. Again, certainly don't have the time allotted in this presentation to go into a full detail here, but I did want to at least give the folks on the call the opportunity to see Upchain, kind of get a little initial feel for what its interface looks like. Okay, so how can synergies help? We went through 4 different PLM tools. I tried to highlight certain features of those, but by no means was that intended to say the goal of this was not to say, okay, this is the one that would make most sense for me, because every business is unique, and we understand that. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you understand what your options are and help you drive you to a solution that makes sense for your particular business and what your challenges are. We have the PLM and industry experience. I have worked with PLM tools for about 15 years as an engineer. I've implemented PLM tools for the past 5 through Synergis. We have the industry and PLM experience to help you make the right decision. And we're an outcome-based organization. Your success is our success. We are here to make you successful. When we do these projects, we are here to drive a determined outcome to, which really boils down to improving your business. So things that we would work with you on is trying to identify what business challenges do you have right now. We showed in slides the common business challenges, but what are your specific business challenges, within your organization? What are the processes that PLM helps manage? What of those can help you the most? Where you get the most payback for implementing this? What's your product offering growth? What's the evolution for your business looking like? Have you just acquired a new division? I know, one of the PLM opportunities and businesses that we work with the PLM software, a lot of the work we've been doing with them is the acquisition of a new organization and rolling their requirements into the PLM business processes. That definitely drove a change to the PLM software and how it's used and what the business process looks like. So we adapted the software, to incorporate the new acquisition. Is that part of your future? Maybe the opposite. Maybe your company is splitting into 2 separate organizations. And how do you interact with other corporate divisions or employees or business partnerships? And that was a big challenge with most companies, is communication and sharing the right data in the right manner. What corporate divisions do you have, and how do you interact with them today? And what design software are you utilizing, and what features of that design software are you utilizing? Some of these have tighter integration. Vault has a very, very tight integration with Inventor. And if you're using some specialty features and options within Inventor, maybe Vault is the best solution for you. Obviously, if you're using Fusion 360 Manage or Fusion 360, Fusion 360 Manage extension is what would be best suited for your needs. And how do you use that data to manufacture and assemble your product? So basically, how is your design data being consumed throughout your organization, outside of engineering, outside of the core PDM process? How is that data being consumed in the rest of the organization? And then how do you manage your IT assets today? What's the plan for the future? A lot of companies, more customers, seems like more every day. Customers are going to cloud-based servers. They're trying, a lot of companies, small organizations especially, are outsourcing their IT. They're trying to simplify the IT burden that they have. So what are your plans going forward? And specifically relative to that, is your organization able, willing to store your IP in the cloud? 3 of the 4 solutions that we talked about today were strictly cloud-based applications. One of the 4 was a hybrid, on-premise cloud-based solution. So what aspects of your data can be stored in the cloud? Does some of your intellectual property need to remain on-premise? These are all the types of things that we would work with you to help identify and help you come to a better understanding of which of these PLM solutions, which of these 4 PLM solutions might be a good fit for your organization. Me personally, I'm very convinced PLM in general can benefit almost every manufacturing organization. It's just a matter of selecting what is best for you and your company, and what's the best method to approach to implement it, and where do you start? There's a lot of opportunity here. Fusion 360 Manage, Vault PLM, Upchain have almost unlimited opportunity to work with different business processes and improve them. So where do you even start with that? Which one's the best one of those to get started with?